I'm just going to talk about, hi, it's Colette from Salt Life Loving. Sorry, I was on a roll there. When I was a lot younger, like decades ago younger, and part of the thing that I do is I heal. I astral travel and I heal. And the experiences of doing that are different for whatever situation there is. But at one point, for a number of years, I was a New Age traveller. A very old New Age traveller. And part of my healing thing, because I was a go-to advice person for healing on the sites. But when I was astral travelling at night, and there was a particularly disturbed spirit in a person, and they were stuck on it, and they kept acting out, and they couldn't get out of that. I would go out, and I didn't know why I was doing this. I would go out, and I'd end up by their van or their bus or their truck or their trailer with a big can of white paint. And I would suddenly become aware that I'm there. So I know I'm meant to be there. I've got a big can of white paint. Didn't understand that until later. But I had to throw this can of white paint over this, whatever it was, whatever vehicle. And it would land right over them and encase them in white paint. And while I stood there watching it, it would start to glow blue. And it would stay. It would get blue until it reached the blue. What I would call healing blue then. And then I would be removed. I would travel somewhere else, or I would go back to sleep, or whatever was happening before that was. I was put there to do that, and then I would backtrack, and I would wake up and I would know what I'd done. And sometimes I would be there at the same place every night, and a week would pass and I'd still be there. And I know my guide's with me, so I know it's okay. This was before I was really connected with my guide, as I don't know. Every time we work together, the connection gets deeper. But somewhere along the line, the way that they were behaving started to change. And I noticed it. And then, doubting myself, eventually other people would notice it. And then I would have to face the fact that something's working. So whatever was happening was working. Now, I know that blue light is healing light from Michael. At the time, I used to think everything came from my guide, my one man. Everything came from him. And so I accepted it, but not so. But I didn't need to know that then. But now I do. And that particular spirit was, it was designed that Michael deals with combat. He's a sword bearer. He's the person that can heal those aggressive wounds where you're acting out of fear because you don't feel safe, or you're angry because of the horrible things that happen to you, and you can't let it out and you can't get rid of it, you're trapped in it. And those kind of things, he really, really understands. And I say he, I never think of them as male and female. They just are energy sources. spirit. But that's what Michael does. He takes your anger, because that's his field. He deals with that sort of thing in a person, and he can help to diffuse it. And by doing that, I'd kind of targeted him for this I'd sent that angel there. I didn't think that. I didn't know that. I was just turning up there and chucking white paint over that went blue, and made me go, ooh, isn't that a lovely shade of blue? That was me then. I was only in my 30s. I'm not as defined as I am now, but it was lovely. It really was lovely, especially when the change started to happen. And I thought, yeah, they must have really, really needed it. But definitely, that's Michael's sphere. That kind of output of not being able to let go of how angry you are about your situations, because it just damn well isn't fair sometimes. So yeah, white paint, blue magic. Thank you.